being able to come up with answers to suspicions and doubts that could provide a more secure future. But it may not be the answer. Planning ahead, anxiety over chaos, revolution, who aligns to your principles, acceptance and rejection of others in relationship, continued pressure and emotionality. These are all pressures, qualities, and questions that this cycle of the Human Design Weather for August 11th to 17th, 2026 bring. Hello, and welcome to the Human Design Weather or Not podcast with me, Margot Fraser. After a few very busy, dynamic cycles with a lot of short-term channels that were coming and going on top of our long-term channel, things finally settle down in this particular cycle. I just wanted to note here for those who might be interested in the space weather, it's a really great cycle with the new moon and solar eclipse happening on August 12th. You may have an opportunity to see that depending on where you are in the world. We've got the peak of the Perseid meteor shower also that same night in the northern hemisphere. There's a smaller one going on in the southern hemisphere. Jupiter and Mercury are conjunct on the 15th, and we see that in the Human Design Weather as they're both sitting in gate 33 that day, that throat gate of retreat. So Jupiter's going to bring expansion. Mercury's going to be bringing communication. Always interesting when you have Mercury in a throat gate. All right, well, let's keep going with the Human Design Weather here. This cycle starts on August 11th at 6:40 a.m., going until August 17th at 3:11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Universal Time Coordinates, it's coming in August 11th at 12:40 p.m., going until the 17th at 9:11 a.m. Just remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun-Earth activations because that's 70% of the conditioning field. We have the Sun moving into Gate 4, the trait of formulization in the Ajna center, the seat of the mind. This is part of the mental logic process that wants to come up with answers to improve patterns and formula we use towards creating a better life. We're always looking for those reliable formula where if I do A, B, and C, I know I'm going to get this result. The logic circuitry always has us looking to the future and thinking about how we can make our plans happen. So you may find yourself caught up in mental theorizing and planning this cycle. Logic again wants that safety, predictability, and reliability. The mental process, though, does take time and investigation into the details and facts to really formulate what might work. The answers to any of your suspicions and doubts about patterns you see that you don't think are working can come through Gate 4. However, the answers are only potentials at this point, so don't grab onto any of them as the answer. And watch that you're not jumping to conclusions. This trait has the nickname youthful folly because, again, they're just potential answers at this point. This trait can also bring fear and mental anxiety of chaos and of uncertainty in your path forward, and could have you taking hasty action to try and bring some semblance of certainty. So just something to watch for there. Remember that your mind's not what you use to make decisions in your own life. You give that over to your strategy and authority. There isn't any motor here. There's no action to take based on what you think and whatever answers you come up with. The mental processes all end in the throat. So it's about eventually sharing with others. The Sun's positions being grounded by the Earth's activation of Gate 49, the trait of revolution and higher principles in the solar plexus emotional center. The emotional center is both a motor that brings the emotional wave, the ups and downs from hope to pain and joy to sorrow, and it's an awareness center, our emotional awareness. This trait's part of the tribal circuitry that always carries that theme of mutual support, so that could play out. I'm going to support you this way, and I expect support back that way. It's electromagnetic, Gate 19, the trait of wanting in the root center, brings the fuel of need and is looking for who can help fulfill those needs. Here in gate 49 is the potential awareness to know who or what is needed or not to maintain the relationship, the community, or to restructure it through the awareness that this trait brings. You can see if there's a need here that would really benefit the tribe. And remember, the tribe is family, community, your nation, whatever groups that you're part of. It can bring the ability to look at the potential needs both materially and spiritually and see what's really worth fighting for. And whoever, whatever brings that need needs to be aligned to your principles. Its keynote says, ideally, the transformation of forms based on the highest principles and not simply for power. The transformation of forms is just really talking about organizing the resources for the tribe. Its highest expression is the bringing in and distribution of resources for the benefit of all, not just as an egoic power play where one benefits and others do not. In order to bring change to the tribe, to have that revolution or restructuring, the support has to be there for that change. It needs to be seen by the tribe as necessary. With this trait present, it can bring clarity on what your own principles are and who's aligned for you and who's not. In your relationships, this is going to bring the pressure to require alignment with your principles, obeying your principles in order to provide what's needed so that you can really come into communion with the other or others. You may also find that you want to come into greater spiritual communion with this trait present. Communication through touch is a quality that this trait brings. So there may be heightened responsiveness to a hand on the shoulder or a hug and so on. Or there could be the emotional, don't touch me. That's something that could come out as well. It brings a sensitivity to the needs of others, and you may be willing to provide resources to support them, again, if they align. In that case, you can put your energy into the revolution necessary to shift the principles in the relationship, the family, the community, when needed. As part of the channel of marriage, literally or metaphorically, hey, we align, we fit. And the gate of divorce, we don't align and we need to separate. It could bring some clarity and discernment around this. So this is a trait that can bring acceptance or rejection of others, and you may find yourself being accepted or rejected. In fact, this trait carries the fear of rejection. It's a good time for a reminder that rejection due to a lack of alignment is not necessarily a bad thing. This trait can also bring being hypersensitive and dramatic towards those who don't align. Remember, it's emotional. What? Why would you do that when I told you not to? How could you possibly believe that? Leading to rejection. As an emotional trait, the principles are around how you feel about something, not necessarily what's logical. So interesting that its opposition is a logical trait. So don't be too fast to accept or reject something or someone. It really does take time moving through the emotional wave to know if someone's truly aligned or not. And a hasty decision could lead to regret and wasting energy. Follow your strategy and authority. It'll guide you through it. When we look at the Sun Earth together, you may find yourself thinking about how to reliably get needed resources. Who are reliable people in your life that align to your principles? There could be jumping into a relationship that you think will be the answer to getting the resources you need to try and bring certainty to your life. Again, gate 49 is emotional. Just remember, patience, patience. And in any case, as we mentioned, decisions in your life aren't meant to be made from the mind's processes. All right, moving to the nodes now in the transit field. They're what bring that homogenized perspective and direction that we'll see in the world. This is the context the transit field brings that the sun, earth, and other planets express themselves within. We can't, though, separate ourselves from our environment, so the qualities of these traits can also play out through us. We had our nodal change a couple of cycles ago, and these nodes are going to be with us until November 23rd. We've got the north node sitting in gate 30, the trait of recognition of feelings, like clinging fire and desire, and the south node in gate 29, the trait of saying yes, also called the abysmal. These are both part of the collective abstract experiential circuitry, so it's going to bring a more social vibe to the environment, as that collective abstract circuitry has a theme of impersonal sharing of wisdom or not. The wisdom of experience in this case. They're sitting in line 6, which brings general themes to the environment of transition, looking for something beyond the gate quality. It brings vulnerability, it brings transpersonal relationships, and learning who to trust or not. The 6th line is the line of the role model, and in its polarity, the hypocrite. So we're going to see the role models and the hypocrites in the world around us. Gate 30, that trait of recognition of feelings, is in the emotional center, so we continue to have emotionality in the environment. Rules of thumb for the experiential circuitry include not having expectations, but rather to just be in the experience that's correct for you, for whatever it brings, and also to go through one experience at a time. But this is the homogenizing context, the conditioning pressure. So we're likely to see lots of expectations being built up, and then the crashing down on the emotional wave in disappointment when they're unfulfilled. It's the desire for change that comes through this, a deep hunger and longing for a certain feeling. But it takes patience to wait for the opportunity to really take action on that desire. In the not-self world of impatience, we're likely to see people trying to force fulfillment of what they yearn for. And when you force it, it's not likely to go well. Particularly because gate 30 is probably the most difficult gate in the abstract circuitry in which to let go of expectations. Very difficult with this trait. At a personal level, really do your best to stay grounded, be patient, so you're not getting caught up in this emotionality and the expectations, rather than just observing it, especially if you've got an undefined emotional center. You may learn a lot about this particular kind of emotional wave, but it doesn't mean that you have to let it drive you. You'll likely hear and perhaps express yourself, talk about one's dreams and desires, and gate 30 also has to do with the sweetness and sourness of life. So we may hear things about that as well. With Pluto activating its electromagnetic gate 41 in the root, we do have that long-term channel of the 4130 for the full nodal period until November 23rd. So everyone's getting the root and emotional centers defined. And I'll talk more about the channel themes a little bit later here. Line 6 for gate 30 is called enforcement. It has a developmental theme that says the discipline to maintain right action. This is the discipline to stick with the desire. The 6th line again wants something beyond the gate quality. It wants the best of all experiences, kind of like being spoiled in the experience. It brings just wanting to feel good and not all the negative stuff of emotion, and wanting to find the people that will bring that thrill. The 6th line can see the full experiential circuitry. It has an awareness of that, and it's only going to act when it sees that there can be fulfillment of it, that there can be real progress and change, and that it will be a wonderful experience to share with others. So it's going to bring a context where people are looking for those that bring hope and can eliminate the negative, or in the detriment where people will put up with those who are caught up in negative feelings. The south node sitting in gate 29 in the sacral center. That's the center that generates the vital energy to work. It's the gate of saying yes, and the trait associated with committing to an experience. Experiences have their ups and downs, and this is the energy to persevere through that. It's pointed at the G center, so it's an experience that could bring you more deeply into yourself. It's also called the abysmal because if you don't enter into the experience correctly, and say yes to something that's not correct for you, it could be really abysmal. And even if it is correct, There's the ups and downs of experience. And when you go through the downs, in the moment, it can feel abysmal. But as you move through it, get to the end, reflect on it, then you get the lessons. But this can bring the energy to persevere through that. In the polarity, there can be people saying no to life, no to the experience. And that's fine. If that's really coming through your strategy and authority, we want to be able to say no to the things that are not correct for us. But in the not self world around us, well, we've got a lot of people that are saying yes to incorrect things and no to things that are not correct for them, being overcommitted, complaining, miserable. When that happens, it's not fun. So again, we're likely to see that playing out around us. There'll also be those that really enter into a new experience correctly. So you may get to witness that as well. For gate 29, line 6 is called confusion. It has a developmental theme that says the state that exists when momentum outstrips awareness. Here, line 6 brings a quality of wanting to know that the experience will ultimately have value to humanity. There's a lot of confusion here because there's the energy to commit, but a lack of clarity on whether it will really be of value to humanity or not. So if it's correct for you, you just have to go with it despite the confusion. Or there could be this saying no and withdrawing. Like, if I can't see what's going to happen in the end, I'm not doing it. No. It brings an environment where people are committing but really can't make sense of it themselves, or more likely in the not self world, people are withdrawing and feeling overwhelmed by the confusion and inability to make sense of what the experience could bring and with what's going on in the world. So with this nodal combination, there's the pressure to be social, but also examining the quality of people that are there in one's environment. If they bring hope and inspiration, we'll see people being inspired and committing to a new experience for whatever it brings and being able to purge the negative feelings and persist through it. If the people around them pull them into negative feelings, we're more likely to see people withdrawing in the confusion and not making progress despite a deep longing for change. This pressure could also bring a deep longing for an experience that you can commit to. And again, we'll see the role models and the hypocrites. All right, let's move to the definitions now through any short or long-term channels and gate activations in the related centers. These bring the consistent themes present in the cycle created by the transit field. Everyone that doesn't already have these in their chart is receiving activation of the related traits and qualities. So it has a big impact worldwide that way. In our homogenized world, this is what is running, those who are not aware. However, with your awareness, you'll have the potential to learn from these frequencies when it's correct for you. I'll leave out the moon and inner planet transits unless they are in a channel or present for most of this cycle. We only have this cycle, our long-term channel of recognition, a design of focused energy that's creating the definition. Here we have Pluto sitting in gate 41, that trait of contraction and decrease in the root center, connecting with the position of the north node in gate 30, that trait of recognition of feelings and desire. Gate 41, that trait of contraction and decrease, is going to start the cycle in line 3 called efficiency. It has a developmental theme, so something we learn over time that says in times of decrease, selfishness is justified. This is the third line. It's got those themes of trial and error, bonds made and broken. So efficiency comes through the trial and error process, figuring out on your own through that trial and error which experience to go through, which feeling you really want, and bringing that drive to do it alone. In the detriment, there's wanting to bring others into the experience and share it with them, which means more energy and more resources are going to be used, and the other's going to have their influence. So it's not going to be the same as doing it on your own and your way. It's just two different ways of going through the experience here. On August 13th at 9:38 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, August 14th at 3:38 a.m. UTC, Pluto's going to move into line 2 called caution. It also has a developmental theme that says humanism tempered by pragmatism. In the exaltation, it's about being practical with what you dream of experiencing. Do you have the resources to bring it to fruition? If not, it can remain a dream and you can move on to something else. In the detriment, the ego can get involved in needing to be recognized for just having this dream for humanity, even though it's not realistic or practical to manifest. But a lot of resources can end up being invested in that dream that just ends up depleting resources with nothing to show for it. We've already talked about gate 30, the trait of desire in line 6, that line of enforcement. This brings a strong channel in the period until the line changes, because the third line and the sixth lines are in harmony with one another. The channel of recognition brings the energy to take all those fantasies of gate 41 and contract them down to the one that's most desired, the one that you're really yearning for. That takes time and patience through the emotional nature of this channel and the ups and downs of the wave. You can think of this as the I have a dream channel. Also recognize that it's bringing activation of both the solar plexus emotional center and the root to everyone over in the world over this long period of time. So we've got stress, pressure, and emotionality with this channel that's in the transit frequencies here. Once the 41 moves into line 2, with that second line being the hermit line, more internalized, and then the sixth line wanting an experience that goes beyond expectations, that may really create restraint in taking action on one's desires. All right, let's look at the conditioning of this definition now. The last couple of cycles, we've had almost every planet in a definition. Here we just have the Earth's position, gate 49, as part of the definition. This could bring, just keynoting this, a yearning for an experience that brings a revolution to the tribe and helps gain needed resources. There may be a needed revolution based on one's higher principles to evolve the tribe that leads to a yearning for a new experience. Okay, looking at the undefined gates now created by the long-term transits. Whether the gates in the undefined centers have any impact for you personally is going to depend on your own design. We have the sun sitting in gate 4 in the Ajna center and the south node in gate 29 in the sacral center. We've talked about those already. Jupiter sitting in gate 33, the trait of retreat in the throat center, part of the abstract experiential circuitry. Jupiter is going to be expanding the need to retreat and take time out of the aura of others to really process the day and experience whatever's been taken in, so that you can eventually share the wisdom from out of that process. Gate 33 is the voice of I remember or I don't remember. It could expand the sharing of secrets that you or others didn't really mean to let out. So a little caution with that. It's going to start the cycle in line 2 called surrender. This is the line of projection. So we'll all be projecting out that we're private and that we're reflecting and what we remember or not. Well, maybe we're doing that. Maybe we're not. This is just what's being projected out. This is about not giving in to the temptation of a new experience before your reflection is complete on a current experience. It's patience and surrender to the process of reflection. Now, there's a genetic drive to be alone that this trait brings, but that doesn't mean that the alone time is going to be used to reflect. So there'll be this general, like, leave me alone vibe with this, which aligns with that second line hermit role. In the detriment, the surrenders to the new experience. It's to jumping into a new experience before the last one was reflected upon. So the real lessons are not going to be attained or remembered. On August 12th at 6:04 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 12:04 p.m. UTC, Jupiter's going to move into line 3 called Spirit. It has a developmental theme that says the attitude that turns retreat into victory. The exaltation says privacy is a path to success. The detriment says a drive for privacy that will cut off its relationships, often abruptly. So the third line is trial and error, bonds made and broken. It's a trait that attracts those that want to get the secrets and the wisdom. In the exaltation, the bond gets broken with another or others to retreat, and then you come back to that others that want the information. In the detriment, you go into retreat, but if you don't like what you find through the process, you may just end the relationship very abruptly with the others that want the information. While we have this line, if it's activated for you, it's going to add another quality of examining relationships to the Earth's position in gate 49 that's bringing that pressure to look for alignment to your principles in relationship. On August 16th, Jupiter is just moving along here. August 16th at 12:53 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 6:53 p.m. UTC, Jupiter is going to move into line 4 called Dignity. It also has a developmental theme that says a lack of turmoil in retreat. In its exaltation, it says the healthy retreat for regeneration. In the detriment, it says forced to retreat and unable to see its regenerative qualities. Now, line 4 is our first line of externalization. There's the ability to retreat, often entering into some kind of meditative process and seeing the lessons in the experience with a positive view of that. It's built into the genetics of this trait to be a witness, and the pressure is to bring through something of value. However, if you're unable to make sense of the experience and you don't carry within you some kind of hope or faith that it happened for a reason, perhaps through a belief in larger forces at play, there can be a real sense of sadness and despair that this line can bring. Okay, we also have Uranus in the throat center in gate 20, the trait of the now, which is part of the individual circuitry. This is the voice of I am now. It's sitting in line 6 called wisdom. Another developmental theme here that says contemplation, which results in the ability to apply understanding. This is about being able to explain your awareness of what's happening in the now to others in a way that they can use it and apply it. Or in the detriment, just doing it for the mental challenge of it, not really to benefit anyone else. Saturn sitting in gate 21, the tribal trait of control in the heart or ego center, and is all about managing resources. It's in line 6 called chaos. And with only the detriment active, it's about withdrawing to find that inner order when chaos erupts from the mismanagement of resources. So interesting that with our sun's position in gate 4, it has a fear of mental chaos. And here we have a line 6 in the ego center that's also about chaos, but here, because we only have the detriment active, withdrawing and finding that inner order. So if this happens to be active for you, it may bring that greater sense of withdrawal. We have Neptune sitting in gate 17, the logical trait of opinions in the Ajna center. Now, it's in the same mental logic stream as gate 4, the sun's position. Gate 17 is correlated biologically with the right eye and takes in the patterns in the now. It brings the pressure to conceptualize your theories, your opinions from the various patterns that you've taken in to determine which might be best to carry you and humanity into the future. It continues to sit in line 1 called openness and brings the possibility to be open to many patterns and having opinions in many areas. Or, like an art critic, only having opinions when it comes to certain areas of interest you enjoy, but no opinion in any other area. So the 17 can take in all those potential answers from gate 4 and go through the mental processing to determine what might really work. Neptune, though, does make it tougher to grasp the patterns and opinions with its veiling effect. So it does muddy the water here a little bit and makes it more difficult to see the patterns clearly. Because gate 17 carries the anxiety of being challenged, there can also be expressing made-up facts here to try and convince others. All right, just a quick review of the channels being created by transits of the moon. Because they're only present for 10 or 11 hours, give or take, they don't have a big impact on the homogenized conditioning field that we've talked about, but they could have a personal impact for you. The first one's coming in on August 12th at 12:23 a.m., going until 9:42 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC coming in August 12th at 6:23 a.m., going until 3:42 p.m. We have the 31-7 logical channel of the alpha, connecting the G center to the throat center. This is the collective democratic leadership channel that is a design of leadership for good or bad. It's got the voice of I lead or not. It's going to bring the pressure to lead and guide from the patterns and methods that you've identified with that could help carry others into the future. Next up, we have coming in August 15th at 5:13 a.m. going until 3:17 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC coming in August 15th at 11:13 a.m. going until 9:17 p.m. The 2946 Abstract Experiential Channel of Discovery, a design of succeeding where others fail or failing where others succeed. It's connecting the sacral center to the G center. This is the pressure to really commit your energy to a new experience with that energy to persist through its ups and downs, and will ultimately deepen your wisdom and knowledge of yourself. It's also about going into experiences that support your body. Gate 46 is the love of the body, or not, the love of the vessel and the determination of the self. Our last channel comes in August 16th at 11:50 a.m. going until 10:18 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. UTC coming in on the 16th at 5:50 p.m. going until the 17th at 4:18 a.m. We have the 5720 individual channel of the brainwave, connecting the splenic center to the throat center. This is the design of awareness, bringing the possibility to express what you know in the now. All right, that brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. If you're new to human design and you just want to understand the body graph at a high level, the basics of it, what's the black and red about, the different geometric shapes, there's a bit of background on the human design system itself, you can grab my free Human Design Basics mini course. It's at margotgfraser.com/human-design. All right, well, have a great cycle. Be kind to one another, and may you know, love, and live the magic of your true nature. Until next time, bye for now.